It's 2019 and I'm back. Hi. My name is Emily, Slow Fashion Rebel on Instagram and YouTube. This is my channel about knitting and sewing and creating a handmade wardrobe so you can be fresh and fun and fabulous in 2019. If you're like me, you spent most of 2018 crafting. All of my free time in 2018 I spent crafting. But, you know, all of that work actually didn't result in all that many garments. I sewed 2 things in 2018 and I knit 2 sweaters. I think I came across like a few accessories that I had forgotten about. However, in 2019, I really want to use my time in a little bit more of a focused manner. So I've written up a little bit of a strategy to help you do the same thing if that's something that you're interested in. So that being said, this video will be a little bit of a different format than my normal videos. I've been wanting to do something like this for a really long time, so I finally sat down and organized my thoughts and came up with a video that's around the subject of achieving your crafting goals in 2019. Special shout out to Kemper Ray from Junk Yarn. I was really inspired by her recent video about just her general goals in 2019. So hopefully you will be able to take something from this and apply it to your creative process to help you feel a little bit more productive. Step 1 in achieving your handmade wardrobe crafting goals in 2019 is get rid of shit that you don't need or want or that doesn't make you happy anymore in your closet. Take everything out of your closet, dirty laundry, clean laundry, every item of clothing in your home that belongs to you, that goes on your body. Put it on your bed, pick up each piece one by one, and pay attention to the feeling that it gives you in your body. Does it make you happy? Does it spark joy? If you have read the book, The Magic Art of Tidying, I might be getting that title wrong, by Marie Kondo, you will recognize this strategy, and yes, it is a direct ripoff of her method. In fact, it is her method, it's not a ripoff. I suggest that you follow the KonMari method. The thing that she suggests, however, when you're done with paring down, I don't agree with. So I'm just saying, this is a really helpful strategy for actually doing the hard part of getting rid of stuff. The most important, most wonderful thing about the KonMari method is that it unearths all of the amazing things that you do have. So think about it that way instead of just thinking about how painful it can be to get rid of things. The great thing about this method is a mindset shift from thinking, oh, I might wear this someday, to looking at it like, does it make me happy? You know, is a huge difference. Looking at it one way makes you feel a lot of guilt, and looking at it the other way makes you feel a lot of happiness. The next step is separating those clothing items into seasons. In New York, where I live, we have 4 seasons: winter, spring, summer, and fall, but for me, it doesn't make a ton of sense to keep them in 4 separate storage places. So I kind of separate out fall, winter, and spring, summer. That being said, my creative process with making clothes is in 4 categories: winter, spring, summer, and fall, and there is a little bit of crossover, but for storage, it's better just for me to do 2 categories. So this depends on where you live. If you live in a place where it's mostly the same climate all year round, you may choose to keep all of your clothes out for the entire year, like Marie Kondo suggests in her book. For me, that actually makes me feel bored with my clothes, and so it was really helpful after doing that for a little while to go back to storing things, because then I get to like not see them for a while and then get excited when I bring them out again. If you'd like, you can go down a rabbit hole in terms of body typology, color scheme for your wardrobe, and style inspiration, and there are lots of resources to help you do this. One that I suggest is Justine LeConte, the YouTuber, the book The Curated Closet by Anushka Reese. This is a really good one. And then just screenshots from Instagram, you know. The thing is, don't get stuck on this step. I feel like I've spent the last entire year stuck on this step, but it's also really helpful and important. But it is a rabbit hole. Again, it's just an exploratory process to find out what works for you, and I just encourage you to start on the path. I want to elaborate on something I mentioned before about the color inspiration part of what I just said. I spent a long time looking at inspiration images, looking at color schemes, figuring out my skin tone. I got really stuck because I love color. I love color so much that I can't choose whether I'm a pink person or a purple person or a red person or a black person or a green person. Ultimately, I decided I would just like give up, and then a color scheme appeared. That was pretty exciting. I don't know. It's more of an intuitive thing. It's an intuitive thing. Getting down to brass tacks, aka specifics about planning projects that are achievable and that are things you're gonna want and need and reach for all the time. So, what season is it? Here in New York City, it's January 2019. It is winter. So for me, I want to be wearing cozy sweaters. None of my whips are cozy sweaters, so I feel fine with choosing a couple of new projects, or one new project, or however many you want, and casting that on, and I have no guilt about it whatsoever, because my whips are fingering weight sweaters, which I won't wear until spring, or accessories, which I have plenty of. So I'm gonna cast on some new shit because I want to get shit done in 2019 and have more sweaters to show. I have a bunch of sweaters quantities. Also, side note, I'm not one of those people who knits for like the season 3 months in advance. My creative self, whatever that's called, is responding to an urgent need or an urgent feeling of inspiration based on an urgent need for a particular garment in my wardrobe. Yes, it's also absolutely based on new designs and things that are posted to Instagram and stuff like that. But as for picking from those spectacular new designs that are posted to Instagram all the time, my criteria are, is it at least a DK weight yarn? Because that's gonna be way warmer, keep me way warmer, and be way more practical for what I need right now than anything else. If not, I'm not gonna knit it until spring. And maybe that means that I'll be knitting it and knitting it and knitting it, and then I'll finish during the springtime, and then it will be too hot to wear. That could happen, that may happen, but at least I will have a sweater next year that I know that I love, that will absolutely bring me lots of joy, and that fits into my color scheme, my wardrobe color scheme. Honestly, that's the great thing about figuring out your personal style and not necessarily picking from trends. Slow fashion makes you do that because it's slow, but the great thing for me, the freeing thing about thinking so hard about this and doing all of this work to prepare for these choices is that it's an investment in my future wardrobe, you know, in a wonderful way. If your goal is to make sweaters, if you go through all of this work and figure out what's missing in your wardrobe, you know, if you don't have a sweaters quantity, go buy a sweaters quantity. Even if you have a bunch of whips. If none of those are working for your criteria of what you need in your wardrobe right now, fuck it. What's the point? What's the point in making your own clothes? Yes, to bring you joy, but I often feel like us knitters like really feel bad about having so many whips and then not having a lot of stuff to show for it, and then the only thing people tell you is, well, you should knit for joy. And yes, I totally agree with that, but also my hope is that I'm presenting a clear strategy to help you get past that feeling of guilt. Start with, what sweaters quantities do you have? Do they fit your criteria of weight for this season, color, and like, you know, do you like them? If not, get rid of it or move on and save it for the next season. There should be no guilt about that. And pick 3. For me, 3 is the magic number as far as sweaters go. 3 is an ambitious number. I have a list that's a small number, which doesn't feel like overwhelming, but it's also big enough to be ambitious and be exciting to me for that reason. And the thing is, if I don't get through them, then, like, you know, worst case scenario, once it gets hot, I'll have a whip that I'm still excited about, you know, for when it does get cold again. So that's the point in doing all of this work, to make sure you're picking the right thing. My picks are the Ingalls sweater, the Rhapsody in Cables, and Ice Flowers, which was a new release from December 2018. So I cast on the Rhapsody in Cables because if you've been watching my podcast, you know that I swatched for that a long time ago. Anyway, I swatched for the Ingalls, and Ice Flowers is sort of third on the priority list. Once I get the Ingalls cast on, then I feel like I can swatch for Ice Flowers. Okay, moving on to sewing. And I have some different strategies with sewing for myself this year than I have in the past. Namely, I'd like to sew a little bit every day. It's a little bit harder for me to just pick up and do, but if I can be organized about my goals and thoughts, then I can at least make a little tiny bit of progress every day on my sewing goals. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm actually sewing every day, but maybe that means one day I'll spend 10 minutes printing out a PDF pattern, the next day I'll tape it together, the next day I'll cut my size out, etc., etc. But if I can make a tiny bit of progress every day, I'll be happy. And I created this binder. This, for some reason, for me, is like the epitome of what my personal style is. Strangely, it doesn't actually have any clothing in it, but it just speaks to me with a vibe that's very clear and strong. It's like a little bit woo-woo, a little bit edgy, a little bit like feminine, but cool, and yeah. I've tried a lot of different strategies with organizing my sewing over the last few years, and I think that I've finally come up with something that has worked. I tried doing my body model. By the way, if any of these actually work for you, I think that's wonderful. My body model is a line drawing of your figure based on your measurements so that you can plan things out by drawing that pattern on a line drawing of your body, which I think could be really helpful if you like drawing and find drawing to be helpful for you. Me, not really, honestly. I don't like drawing, even though I can do it, and I don't think that that's a good use of my time. So I purchased the By Hand London planner, and at one point I cataloged my entire stash. That's also not that helpful for me because, to be honest, I don't really refer to it that much. I spend a lot of time measuring all of these things, and occasionally I will refer to it. I think it's a great idea, but it's just not something that I reach to first and foremost. I also tried listing all of the categories of clothing items that I had, and I sort of discovered that I basically had enough of everything, but then I simultaneously felt like I didn't have what I wanted to wear, so that was also not a helpful system for me. The most helpful system for me has been documenting inspiration images for what my personal style is. So this was where it started. I don't think that this really speaks to me that much anymore. This is where it continued. So this is a really like edgy, sexy, flirty style. I might go a little bit more feminine, to be honest, but still my goal is to try and cultivate a little bit of an edgier style. My Instagram name is Slow Fashion Rebel, which is actually based more on my personality type. For that reason, I've wanted to go for a more edgy style. As I've started making baby steps towards doing that, I actually found that like it gives me a lot of confidence and makes me feel really awesome. You know, why not continue in that trend? Like, I definitely, as you can see, love a feminine, you know, aspect too. So sort of mixing the two is actually, I think, where my sweet spot is. And then adding a little bit of boho flair. So this is more inspiration images. So it's not really for me about coming from an external, this is what those models are wearing, but more of like, what are the colors, you know, what are the textures, what are the fabrics that they're using, what are the silhouettes, and just incorporating that into what my personal style already is and what already makes me happy. That's been really working out. The other part of it is really just like taking screenshots from Instagram. If I scroll through my photos, like most of it is screenshots from Instagram, which can make me feel really overwhelmed sometimes. Take lots of screenshots, but then delete them. My screenshots are reflecting what these pages look like as well, but if I see something in there that stands out, I will delete that photo and not try to replicate that vibe at all, because I want it to be kind of consistent. If there are specific patterns that are on there, then I will transfer them to a handwritten list. What I know to transfer is just something that like stays in my mind and that I keep thinking about. In summer 2017 or 2018, I started making a list of my summer sewing goals, and I had a really ambitious list. I think I made one thing on this list, but I'm still so happy that I made this list, because next summer I'm totally gonna knock a couple more things off and cross more things off that I don't want to do anymore. I started making a winter list for 2019, but also that can apply to future winters as well. I pared that list down by a lot, thinking about what I actually need. So I have like 5 items. Number 1 is a coat, the Nino coat in leopard by Pauline Alice. I don't need a coat, and I may not get to it for that reason. The other thing is the saffron pant by Deer & Doe. I've had this pattern for a while. Basically, it's a high-waisted skinny jean, and I know that we're all doing wide leg pants right now. And it's not that I don't want to wear wide leg pants, I totally do, but I've been wanting a pair of stretchy wool high-waisted skinny pants for a long time. So these are on my list. The other thing is this Fumatiere skirt by Deer & Doe. I have this long linen skirt that I got at Muji. It's blue. What I'm discovering is that blue doesn't really work very well in my winter wardrobe. Black works better in my winter wardrobe, and blue works better in my summer wardrobe, just based on like what the collection of clothing that I have is. But I do like to wear that skirt a lot. Want to feel like feminine, and I wear leggings under it so that I don't have a draft, and it's really effective in keeping me warm. So basically I want to make a black version. I want dresses that I can wear over leggings. So basically I just listed the patterns that I already own, decided what can I most realistically get done. The 2 that made the cut were the Cassiope dress and the Hinterland dress. And those happen to both be like really oversized, easy looking patterns. I have a Wixton kimono on in my like works in sewing progress list that I am really wanting to finish. I want to make another long sleeved t-shirt with wool jersey. Those are my goals. What I'm gonna start with is finishing my Wixton. The next thing I'm gonna do is cut that SJTEE by Paper Cut Patterns, because I already have fabric for it. And then I'm gonna go to the fabric store and look for fabric for either the saffron pant, the coat, just because why not do your dream project even if you don't need it, or the long skirt, this one. I forgot a dress. I'm definitely gonna need to do a dress this winter. They're really useful to chuck on over leggings. The last thought that I will leave you with is, for 2019, use the good yarn. That is my personal goal. Use the good yarn, use the good fabric. Hoarding it doesn't help you in your spiritual, personal, creative journey. I have this issue severely. I started using the good yarn a little while ago, but then I still was coming from a place of using up my stash. So I would choose items in my stash that didn't scare me. What I mean by this is like things that are a little cheaper, things that I knew that I wasn't like, oh my god, this is my favorite skein of yarn. It's not so much that I'm afraid of messing up, because like with knitting you can rip back, you can fix the mistake. I think it's just about it not being there anymore. And it's more about money. It's like it won't be there anymore, and can I afford to get more nice yarn? But again, it feels frustratingly wasteful to have something sitting around in my stash for more than a year that I love so much, that I go in and I reach for and I just admire, and it brings me so much joy. Yes, that's great. If you just have a thing that brings you joy, that's fine. But I really want it to be I want it to be clothes. I want sweaters, I need sweaters. So, I hope this system has helped you at least a little bit. Please let me know if they do. Please leave a comment if you have another idea or if you have another system that is working for you. I would love to hear it. I am, as you can tell, super into this kind of stuff. I hope you have a wonderful January. One quick word about the podcast schedule. I will not be releasing a video next week because I will be on the Wollonbein Yarns podcast next week. So go check out Kristen's channel. If you haven't already, press the subscribe button. Press my subscribe button too, please. But if you want to see me next week, I'll be there. And so I will see you, but on this particular channel, I will see you again in 2 weeks' time. But I hope you had a wonderful holiday season and a happy new year, and I will see you again very soon. Okay, thanks for watching.